We are cooking on the flat top today in the sartorial kitchen. Kicking things off, it is my hot Italian potato salad. Then I'm doing a nice meaty T-bone steak with some grilled onions. And last but not least, a raspberry bread pudding with a bourbon syrup. So why don't you pull up a chair and dine with me? Welcome back, everybody. We are grilling out today. I was very excited to show off the grill. I've been wanting to do it for a long time, but I never had the right menu for that. So I thought, you know, why not? Let's do a nice meaty steak and just have some fun with it. Now I know what you're thinking, grilling out, why is he cracking eggs? So we're starting with dessert. It's a bread pudding, raspberry bread pudding. It's going to be so luscious and decadent. So we're starting out 4 eggs. This is going to be the start of our custard. I always start with the eggs so I can check for eggshells. We don't want eggshells in our bread pudding. And I'm going to give those a little whisk. Just break up those yolks. Just kind of stir it up. I love bread pudding. It's just one of those really easy desserts. And I'm doing something different today. I'm doing it on the grill. It's going to be so fun. Okay, that looks good. To the eggs, I need 2 cups of cream. And this is just a basic custard. This is also great for like French toast, things like that. Alright, now for some seasonings. A little salt. I know people are always like, why salt in desserts? But salt really brings out the natural flavors and the sweetness of things. Some nutmeg here, about a 1/4 teaspoon, and about a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. I want this to have lots of flavor. And then one more thing, some vanilla. I need about a teaspoon of the vanilla, which is just about the size of this cap. Saves on dishes. Okay, so we stir up this mixture just until everything is well incorporated. And I can already smell those nice warming spices. So good. Okay, we are done with this little whisk guy here. And we're going to move on to our bread. So I splurged and got some brioche buns. Brioche is like the epitome of like French toast. And I thought the buns would be nice because it has more crust on it, and the crust is the best part. So I'm just going to come in here and chop these up. Just a rough chop. You should be able to get about 9 pieces out of this. And that's going to go right into our mixture. I just got 1 pack. I figured 4 buns should be enough. Because this brioche, it's going to drink up that custard, and it's just going to get nice and gooey and bubbly. Alright, there we go. Drop that in. Now I'm going to come in here with a spoon, and I'm just going to stir this up. I don't want to break up the bread too much, so I'm just kind of folding this, getting underneath and putting that custard on top of the bread. I want all of this bread to be well incorporated into this, so it gets nice and gooey. Alright, and this would not be raspberry bread pudding without raspberries. So, we're just going to pop this open. And I'm adding the raspberries last. They're a delicate fruit, and I don't want to break them up too much. I want nice, big, whole, plump, tart, juicy pieces of raspberry. And I'm just going to mix those in too. They're just going to get nice and tender, and it's going to give a nice color to our bread pudding. Alright, and that looks pretty good. So I'm going to set this aside while I work on the rest of my prep. Next is going to be the, I guess you would say sauce for our potatoes. I'm doing a hot potato salad. And if you don't know what that is, it's because I just made it up. So you have not heard of this before. Don't be Googling and all of that. No, this is something that I came up with when I was at the store. I had a different menu plan for this originally. I was going to be taping with some friends of mine down south, but unfortunately that fell through. And when I was shopping, you know, a lot of times my episodes change when I'm shopping based on what produce I can find, what's on sale, what looks good. So instead of, I was going to originally do like steak tacos and all these different things, none of the produce looked good. But I saw potatoes on sale and I said, you know what? What goes great with steak and potato salad? But how many times have I made potato salad on this channel? So I wanted to do something different. And I said, you know what? What if we took a pasta carbonara and a potato salad and we put it together? So that is what we're doing today. So I'm starting with eggs. 2 eggs here. Stir those up really good. I'm going to add some salt here. And some pepper. Now to make this a little different from a traditional carbonara, I'm doing some Italian seasoning, about a teaspoon. And some of my minced garlic. You know me, I'm obsessed with this jarred garlic. About a teaspoon of that as well. The smell of that garlic drives me crazy. Alright, we're going to stir that up. And last but not least, some Parmesan. You need about a cup. This is going to really thicken the egg mixture. And that's just what makes it so luscious and decadent. If you want to use fresh, that's fine, but this I think works just well. Okay, and then just stir our Parmesan into the eggs. And you'll see it gets nice. It starts to get nice and thick, almost like a pasta dough or like a cookie batter. That's exactly what we want. Perfect. Alright, that is our egg mixture for the potatoes. Now I just need to dice up my bacon and my onions. Alright, last but not least, my onions and my bacon. This is going to go into our potatoes. So I know you're thinking onions is not a traditional carbonara ingredient, but this is not just carbonara, it's a potato salad. So I want some different things in here to kind of tie it together. So the onion, you know, you slice off the one end, you cut through the hairy bit, and then you have your 2 ends. I'm going to do half of this. I'm going to dice, and that's going to be for the potatoes. The other half, I'm going to slice into little ribbons. And that's going to make a nice little flavorful topping for our steak. So I just want to make sure I get all of the skin. The skin is not edible, no fun. And I leave the hairy bit on because that keeps the onion together for when I go to dice it. And you know the drill, you just come in here horizontally. And then we come down vertically. And we just come across. And there you have it, nice little diced pieces. I'm going to fry that up with our bacon. And that's going to be the beginnings of our carbonara. Alright, there's our bacon, our onions. I will see you guys out on the grill. Welcome back, everybody. We are outside my lovely flat top. I wanted to show that you can do more than just fry meats on here. So I've got my skillets going. We're going to start with the bread pudding. It's going to take the longest to cook. And I'm just going to pour that right into the skillet. And I've been preheating this skillet so you can hear that sizzle. That's going to be really great because it's going to get a nice crust on it. I'm using this larger skillet so I can spread this out. It's not as thick and it's going to cook more evenly. And then we're just going to cover this with some aluminum foil. That's going to trap the heat so the top of this cooks as well and not just the bottom. Let me get my trusty glove here. This pan is hot. I do not want to burn myself. And I have just got this on a medium heat on the flat top, so the inside has time to cook before the bottom gets too done. I don't want burnt bread pudding. Now, you can do this in the oven if you want, and that's just going to be about 350 degrees for about the same amount of time. I'm going to have this on here for about 35 to 40 minutes, just until it's nice and tender on the inside. Now let's move on to the rest of our dish. Alright, we're going to get the bacon going, and my onions, the diced onions. I'm saving the slices to go with my steak later. Perfect. I'm going to season those with a little salt and pepper. I like to season in layers. Alright, I'm just going to stir this up a little. That bacon's going to render down and that fat's going to caramelize these onions for us. Bacon and onions go beautiful together. And I'm going to turn that up a little to a medium heat. I want that bacon to get nice and crispy. Alright, I've got my water going there for the potatoes, which I have right here. I'm just going to I'm going to slice these babies in half. I got these little ones. I figured they would cook more evenly because they're roughly the same size, and you don't have to worry about peeling them. And you know what? I got a cutting board out, but I think I should be able to just do these right into the pot. And I'm just cutting these in half. Some of these bigger ones I make quarter. I just want to make sure they get cooked through. And potatoes are pretty simple. You just cook them until they're fork tender. That's how you know they're done. These little ones won't take long at all. Alright, I got my potatoes going. I'm going to throw some salt in here, a generous helping. Potatoes are naturally bland. They need the salt. The salt's also going to help tenderize our potatoes, help them cook down faster. This water's boiling good, so I'm just going to let those go. About 10 to 12 minutes or so. Give this bacon another stir. It's starting to render down. I wish you guys had smell-o-vision. This bacon smells great. Alright guys, welcome back. Time to finish off our potatoes here. I've got about 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar here. It's going to deglaze this pan, get all those bits of onion and bacon up. It's also going to give it a nice little tang. that kind of brings it into that kind of potato salad direction. And I'm gonna let that reduce just a little bit. Now, we're gonna check our potatoes. And you just want you want the knife to go right through it and come out easy. And I think we are just about there. Perfect. Before we get those out, we're gonna come back to our egg mixture here. Now if I threw this in to there directly, the eggs would scramble and we would not have potato salad. We would have some kind of breakfast bowl in that situation. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some of our potato water here. Now with the traditional carbonara, you take the pasta water. The starches help thicken everything up. And I'm just going to add a little, just a little. We'll do a little at a time. But I thought, you know, the potatoes, they release starch too, so it's going to be very similar like a pasta water. And then what this is going to do, it's going to slowly allow the eggs to come up to temperature. And it's also going to help create a nice, luscious, velvety, silky kind of sauce. And you just want enough to where this comes together as a liquid. You don't want it too loose. And that's looking pretty good. I may do just a little more here. Perfect. Alright, I'm going to set this aside. And great, our vinegar has reduced, so we're going to grab our potatoes here. I'm going to go ahead and turn this side off. We are done with it. And drop those potatoes right in here. Now we're going to come in here. I'm going to move these potatoes over to the side. And I'm just going to kind of stir these up a little. I want to incorporate the bacon and the onion mixture. That's nice. Alright, I'm going to let that kind of mellow out a little bit. Let this kind of cool down some before I add my eggs. Alright. So here's the thing, you can't tell from here, but there's a little warmth here from having that pasta water, so that tempers the eggs, and then we're just going to slowly drizzle this on top. And you got to be quick with it. Come in here again with our spoon, and I'm going to stir this in. And I'm just going to kind of fold everything over itself. And the heat is just going to slowly cook this and bring everything together. But I don't want it too hot. And the potatoes get a little char on it in the skillet. Oh, it's so good. And then once this comes together to a nice cohesive mixture, we're just going to pull it off the grill so it stops cooking. Tell me that does not look delicious. Alright, we're going to let that go and we're going to move on to the main course, our steak. Of course, our T-bone. I've also got some onions here. So I'm going to drizzle some oil on the grill here. It's going to help caramelize these onions, keep them from sticking and burning. I don't want to put the steak on just yet. It's only going to cook a couple minutes, if that, tops each side, just so it gets, I just wanted to get a nice char on it. I still want it to be nice and juicy on the inside. Some people like theirs a little more done than that. To each their own. I just prefer not to chew on a piece of leather. Alright, so I'm going to get the onions going first. They're going to take a little longer to kind of come down. So I'm going to get a little charmed first. We've taken our potatoes off the heat. They're just chilling out. And our bread pudding is doing some nice things for us. Alright, those onions are cooking down nicely. I'm going to go ahead and throw our steak on. I'm going to get a little more oil down just to keep the steak from sticking. I'm going to slap that baby right on. It's just me today, it's only one steak, but you can make as many as you like. I'm going to season this. I like to keep it simple with steak, just salt and pepper. You really don't need anything else. People like to get fancy and do all these different things. No. And you turn the steak too much, no. I'm going to let it sit. You'll be able to see it start to get a nice crust on the outside. That's when you know it's ready to flip. We're looking for about 125 to 135 on the temp. You can always poke at the steak. The more it's going to feel looser. You kind of come between your thumb and your finger. This little skin here, how loose it feels, that's what we want there. The further back you go, you start getting into that nose. Alright, time to flip this steak. Woo, baby. Look at that nice crust. That's what I like about the flat top. When you use the other grill, like, yeah, you get the grill marks, but you also get that kind of bitter taste of the grill. Where the marks are, the charcoal, what have you. This I just like a nice kind of sear crust. And it's just going to cook about another minute on this side. That's about it. And we will be ready to plate up. Alright, let's pull this baby off the grill. Let's grab our onion. Now tell me that does not look delicious. Oh my goodness. Get some of these lovely little steak bits. Waste not, want not. Go ahead and turn this down. And we're going to grab some of our potatoes. Now tell me that does not look like a delicious plate of food. Now let's give it a taste. Guys, I am starved. I'm going to start with the potatoes first. Look how our mixture just clings onto that potato. So good. Potatoes are nice and soft. They still got a little texture to them. I don't want them like completely mush. This filling though, the bacon, the onions, the Parmesan, perfect. Now let's cut into our steak here. Alright. You can see it's still nice and juicy on the inside. So good. The onions just add a nice richness. They're a little sweet when they're caramelized. This is a stick to your ribs dinner right here. So I'm going to finish up and then we will move on to our dessert. Alright, my timer went off on this. I'm going to turn it off completely. And ooh, just look at that. It is gorgeous. You can see how it's nice and browned on top. And that eggy mixture. If you're not sure if it's done, you can give it a little jiggle. And if it stays firm, then you know it's finished. I'm going to leave it covered though. I'm going to let it kind of mellow out. We're going to make a little topping real quick for this. I've got my little baby cast iron here. Isn't that adorable? We're going to throw some syrup in here. Maybe a 1/4 cup, not even that. And then I've got some bourbon. I don't drink much bourbon, but I like these little airplane bottles. You can do different things with them. And we're really maybe just a teaspoon. It goes a long way. And I'm just going to let that bubble up a little bit. It's going to reduce and get nice and sugary, and it's going to become the perfect topping for our bread pudding. Alright, this is bubbling up good. I'm going to turn it off. Once it bubbled, I let it go for a couple minutes just to let that bourbon kind of reduce. I'm going to pull it off to the side here. And that's totally optional. If you want to just do syrup or you want to do powdered sugar or however you want to top it, that's up to you. Now we're going to uncover this guy again. And I've got me a little bowl here. I'm just going to get a nice little section of this. Make sure we get down in here. Oh yeah. So the sides and the bottom got nice and crusty. And then the inside is just nice and soft and eggy. Alright, yum. And then I'm going to take a little of our syrup here and just pour it right on top. Oh yeah. And there is our grilled dessert. I'm just going to come in here and give this a taste. Okay, nice. It's nice and hot. The raspberries give it a nice burst of freshness. And then you get the custard. So good. And that syrup, that's just a lovely little component. So good. So guys, I thank you for joining me once again. As always, like and subscribe at the bottom. Hit me up in the comment section, and until next time, go and have this.